Hello, Sam here with our upcoming schedule. Next episode we'll be looking at 2016's Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston. Then in the following episode we'll be following on from today, continuing with Volume 2s of the 2015 Star Wars and Darth Vader runs, with Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon and Shadows and Secrets. Enjoy the show!
Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
The
evil Galactic Empire's greatest weapon, the Death Star, has been destroyed by the young rebel pilot Luke Skywalker. With the Imperial forces in disarray, the rebels look to press their advantage by unleashing a daring offensive through the far reaches of space, hoping to defeat the Empire once and for all, and at last restore freedom to the galaxy.
Hello and welcome to Crashing the Starfighter, the Star Wars podcast that is going back to A New Hope again. I'm Sam and I've read a couple of comics.
I'm Emily and I've read 2 comics maybe, which actually is a couple, so that's not really saying anything different.
But not for ones we're talking about today. Emily, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm alright. Yeah, I'm a little bit tired, but not too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine and dandy. It's no longer Pride Month, so we can act that a little bit less gay.
Oh, thank God.
We can dial it back to 98. So, you know, being on 100% for a whole month is a bit stressful. Just hit my lamp.
It was so tiring.
But now we can go back about 2% and just be mildly obnoxious.
Oh, only mildly. I mean, I don't think I believe you when you say that you're okay right now, because I know for a fact that you are waiting for Taylor Swift tickets, so you're not okay.
I'm not okay, you're right. I'm screaming inside. And speaking of things that scream inside, at the end of the last episode I asked you a question.
Oh.
I asked you, what model of ship is the Millennium Falcon? Which, of course, screams inside, because it's a droid consciousness just trapped in that circuitry.
Which is fucking horrendous, actually. This is like how I felt when I played Skyward Sword and I realised I was a person inside the Master Sword the whole time. Like, that's not even spoilers, you find out at the beginning. Let me out, please. But the question, okay, so I swear I knew this when you asked at the end of last episode, but I think it might have gone.
I have a bag which has the instruction manual for this, and
oh yeah,
you have seen my bag.
Oh, that was a long time ago, and there was cider on the table. I don't know if I remember. I don't think it has Corellia in it. I don't think so. I think people just say it's a Corellian freighter because of, they're just saying it. I don't think that's the model. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be able to get it. Oh, is oh no.
It is a YT 1300 FP light freighter.
Oh, see, that rings a bell now. I probably didn't know it back then, but it rings a bell now at least.
And it was made by the Corellian Engineering Corporation.
Ah, that's where I got that from. Fuck.
Before we jump into the topics today, which are 2 comic volumes, I'd like to just take a moment to talk about 2 other Star Wars podcasts that I enjoy.
Yo. Wait, you're giving the competition a platform?
They're much bigger than us, and
I know. I was hoping that you'd get the irony.
Look, I know we have a niche little audience, and I want to share that niche little audience so that people can go to the bigger podcasts and say, we were sent here by Crashing the Starfighter. Big people who can go, ho, 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 who are they then? Should we give them a nickel to buy a Christmas turkey?
Yeah, what was with that weird, you literally... I was like, who do you sound like? And then I realised that you sound like the guy from The Muppets Christmas Carol. You're like the big bearded guy. He says, come in and know me better, man. That guy, you know?
So, the first podcast I'd like to mention, a bit of background. The reason we made this podcast, the reason I'm into Star Wars canon, is because a YouTuber I like, called Jesse Cox, started a podcast called the Star Wars New Canon Book Club. And they were going to go through all of the new canon stuff, kind of as it came out, and talk about it. There are 3 of them. Alex Faciani. What's Davis's first name? Fucking Davis from Warp Zone, sure.
Oh, I forgot. I don't know what they just call him. Davis on Scary Game Squad.
And Jesse Cox himself. And sadly, they got kind of outnumbered by Star Wars and also got beaten up by the fandom. But they've recently come back with the Star Wars Old Canon book club, where we're going to go through the entirety of Old Canon in release order. So far, there are 4 episodes out. They've done the New Hope novelization, the New Hope movie, I think it's Splinter from Mind's Eye, which was a sequel novel to A New Hope, in case it didn't make enough to get a proper sequel. And they've just released the episode on the Star Wars Holiday Special. When they say they're covering everything Old Canon, they mean everything. And I can't wait for it to get into the weird stuff. I say after they've done the Holiday Special.
I love these guys. I really do. I don't really listen to or engage too much with their specifically Star Wars stuff, but I love these dudes when they do other stuff.
They're good people and it's a fun podcast. They have good chemistry together.
Mm.
And the other one I'd like to mention is a weird one. It's called The Redemption of Jar Jar Binks. So, a podcaster I like called Dylan Marin, who played Carlos in Night Vale.
Wait, he played Carlos?
Yep.
What?
He also recently wrote an episode in season 3 of Ted Lasso. He's amazingly talented.
Yo.
He did this podcast a few years ago called Conversations with People Who Hate Me, where he would literally, if someone sent him a hate message, he'd contact them and be like, hey, do you want to talk about it? And spinning out of that podcast, he's doing this one called Redemption of Jar Jar Binks, which is a deep dive into the cultural event, which was the hatred towards Jar Jar Binks. The first episode is all the background building up to the movie, the fans camping out, what was released about Jar Jar before the movie. And the second one is all about he's interviewing Ahmed Best and talking about Ahmed's voice before Star Wars, leading up to him being cast. And it's literally, I think it's going to be 6 episodes long, going deep into everything Jar Jar Binks. He makes the argument. I'm not going to spoil it, but I found this one really interesting. On a I think it was Vanity Fair cover, you had all the actors. So you had Natalie Portman, and you had Liam Neeson, and you had Ewan McGregor, and then you had CGI Jar Jar Binks. And his argument is even in the marketing building up to the movie, it was devoid of an actor. It felt they were marketing it as a character, which kind of he thinks played into it being an easy punching bag, because there was nothing human about it people could link to.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, even with some of the old the puppet guys like Yoda and stuff, people knew who Frank Oz was. Stuff, it kind of feels like, yeah, those guys weren't even I guess it's kind of the same as the puppets and stuff, but people knew where they came from and who played them, whereas they kind of went out of their way to divorce that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It's an interesting lesson, and I feel like it's going to get pretty hard, but
yeah,
you kind of know what you're going into with that.
I imagine it'll probably be at the end of it'll be one of those things that's very cathartic, because you kind of know that there has been, the redemption has kind of happened. Ahmed Best has been allowed to re-enter Star Wars, and people have, changed their tune, which I'm very glad about.
There's that famous quote where George tells him that Jar Jar's a character for kids and kids will love him. And sure enough, now we have a generation of kids who've grown up with the prequels. There is a lot of love to Jar Jar as a character, which wasn't there to begin with. Ahmed Best's interviews are great. This looks to be a really good series.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
So today we'll be looking at 2 comic volumes. The 2 starting ones of the 2015 ongoing series, which are Star Wars and Darth Vader. So just a bit of context. I want to explain what I mean by ongoing, because I'm not sure if you know. Do you know what an ongoing comic is?
I'm guessing it's one that it doesn't have a set number of issues that they set out to make. So they're saying, oh, this is a 6-issue comic or something. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those ones that they just continue doing. Is it that sort of thing?
Yep, you get mini-series, which are usually 5-6 issues. You get limited series, which are, there's a set number that are going to come out. From the beginning, it's going to be 12 issues. And then ongoing is, we're just going to throw it out there, and it will go as long as it goes, basically.
Yeah. Hey.
Another word I would like to teach you is mainline, because I'm going to be referring to the mainline comic in this. Do you have any idea what I mean by mainline comic?
I'm guessing that means if you have something like Star Wars, where you have many, many comics about all sorts of things, I'm guessing that this one being the Star Wars comic, it's the main one that follows the main story beats of the actual media that it's part of the universe from. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that made sense.
I'm going to give you half mark on that one. So in a brand like Star Wars, there are lots of comics going on at once. The mainline refers to the one which is called Star Wars on the shelves. So,
Okay.
the first comic series we're going to be looking at is Star Wars, just called Star Wars. But the second one we're going to be looking at is called Star Wars, subtitled Darth Vader. So to save time of conversation, I'll call any book which is just called Star Wars for mainline series, and any book which is Star Wars subtitle just for subtitle.
Okay, yeah, that would make things a lot less confusing. Plus, also saying Star Wars Darth Vader is a bit of a mouthful.
With the housekeeping done, the first we're going to be looking at, and we've read the crawl for, is Skywalker Strikes, which is volume 1 of the 2015 mainline. It collects issues 1 to 6 of that book, which were released between the 14th of January and the 3rd of June 2015. It's written by Jason Aaron, of big-time Marvel fame. He's best known for his Massive 4 run, which brought us things like the Jane Foster 4, and Gore the God Butcher, and For All the Realms. But he's also done a lot of other Marvel stuff throughout his days. He's also done a recent Avengers run. And the art is by John Cassidy. One last thing to bring up is that the issue 1 of this book is the first issue released under the new deal with Marvel after Disney buying Lucasfilm, and it's also the start of the first canon ongoing series.
Oh.
I'm now going to cut to my spoiler-free reviews of this and Darth Vader, which will come later on. The time period between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back is an interesting place for Star Wars stories, especially when we're focused on the core characters. We're talking Luke Skywalker, we're talking Darth Vader, we're talking Princess Leia and Han Solo. Because we know where they end up, they have a definitive endpoint. The constant challenge is how to make stories of these characters interesting, and I really think these opening issues of the 2 ongoing 2015 series do a great job of that. Running in parallel, both Darth Vader and the Star Wars mainline managed to introduce concepts which are intriguing, and I want to read more. In Darth Vader, we have a certain rogue archaeologist character, who I don't want to spoil here if you don't know, but definitely one of my favourites. Darth Vader also manages to give a villain stakes, which you care about in an interesting way. It beats Darth Vader down into a kind of relatable villain. Like, he's still evil and will just kill people for no reason, but he has underlying issues which are relatable to us. It's weird saying that you feel for him, but you do. The Star Wars mainline is 2 arcs instead of Darth Vader's 1, and it's a bit choppier. I'd say the first 3 issues are definitely just reintroduced to his characters, but the second one even gives me, a Boba Fett skeptic, reason to like the character. All in all, I'd say Skywalker Strikes is more set up, while Darth Vader tells a more complete story. I would recommend Vader probably more than Star Wars, but again, they run in parallel, read them both if you can. Okay, Emily, before we start, what did you think of the crawl you read?
I mean, really short. It's so short. It's definitely a crawl. It's one of those ones I'm starting to realise the more of these that I read, that there are some that are like that have a vibe to them, and then there are some which are just like, here we are, this is the era we're in. It's literally just like, this is the era we're in. We're not gonna have any pizzazz here. Because as much as we all hate The Dead Speaks, there's a vibe to it.
Yep. Another thing is that these stories take place after the Heroes for A New Hope stuff we did before. So after Han taking place in the Dragon Void run, after Leia having a big hump on her back because she's not being able to lead, after Luke becoming a noodle scooter, this is post all of that.
Little noodle scooter.
So issue 1, do you want to look at image 1, which is the first cover?
I will, yes. Let's have a look. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Why is Luke posing like that? He's just doing an A pose on the front of the cover.
It's a really nice cover, but then there's Luke.
Yeah, it is. It's like everyone looks so cool, and then Luke's just like fucking stood there like he's trying to intimidate me. I feel scared by this man.
The issue opens with space. One of Jabba's skiffs comes into view. Over the comms, it's welcome to Moon 1 in the Corellian Industrial Cluster and directed to Weapon Factory Alpha, and warned if it deviates from its course, it will be destroyed. As the skiff lands, the factory's overseer, a human male called Agadine, comments how much he dislikes the Outer Rim lot before meeting envoy of Jabba the Hutt, a small-time smuggler called Han Solo.
Hey.
Flanked by a blue astromech and 2 bodyguards dressed like Lando at the start of Return of the Jedi, they have their weapons confiscated before being allowed in, Chewbacca looks down from a sniping position, while over the comms, C-3PO delights that this plan is actually working, and dares to say he has a good feeling about this.
Oh no, my guy.
As they walk into the factory, Han warns the Overseer that he's a great negotiator, but Akadine informs him there will be no negotiations. The Imperial's negotiator will lay down the terms and Han will accept them.
So they might be short, you could say.
The negotiations will be short. But will they be aggressive?
Who can say?
Han tells the Overseer that he must be desperate to be working with Jabba, but assumes that's what losing a Death Star does to you. The Overseer quickly jumps in, saying even the biggest weapon factories in the Empire have quotas. Outside the negotiation room, Han stops to the Overseer's confusion. As the Overseer said, they're not here to negotiate. R2 leaks fluid and electrocutes it to take out the Stormtrooper escort. As the Overseer asks what kind of negotiator Han is, he replies, the rebellious kind, before asking for directions to the main power core. One of the bodyguards, revealed to be Princess Leia, then knocks him out as the other bodyguard, revealed to be Luke, starts leading the way to the core.
Woo.
Outside, hidden in a junkyard, 3PO waits for the Millennium Falcon to press the autopilot on Han's signal. Back in the factory, Han and Leia set the core to explode while Luke listens to the Force and is led away. He finds slaves, and as he goes to free them, the slave driver comes out behind him. Luke does his famous waving his hand. These aren't the slaves you're looking for.
Is that his?
And the driver just goes, What are you talking about? And he's like, dang, one of these days it will work.
Yeah, it's definitely not yours, dude.
As the slave driver pulls out a whip, he tells Luke not to grab his blaster. Luke says, okay, I won't grab my blaster, and instead pulls out his father's blue lightsaber and cuts the slave driver's hand off before unlocking the slave pen.
I thought you were going to say that he cut his whip in half, and I was going to be like, oh no, his car! How can he do this?
Back at the core, 10-minute countdown started. Leia thanks Han for putting his face in front of the Empire and letting the galaxy know that he's a rebel. He argues that he's still a smuggler, so Leia asks him what he wants. At the moment, Luke comes in with the slaves, shocking Han and Leia. They tell 3PO to hit autopilot as they need to escape quickly. Outside, Chewbacca sees an Imperial shuttle landing. Stormtroopers line up as the commander informs the Overseer that the negotiator has arrived. Down the boarding ramp comes a black figure of Darth Vader. Chewbacca tells the others who's here, and Leia orders him to take a shot if he can. He takes several, but Darth Vader deflects them all with his lightsaber before holding up stormtroopers using the Force as human shields. He then uses the Force to pull Chewbacca's perch to the ground and orders for stormtroopers to chase after the Wookiee. Vader senses the presence of the unknown pilot that destroyed the Death Star and promises that he won't escape again. Over the comms, Han asks where 3PO is. The droid replies that the autopilot button didn't work, and looking out of the ship, he sees it is being scrapped by scavengers. Han orders 3PO to go and deal with it, and he goes, oh dear, before grabbing a gun.
Oh dear. That's got to be a good panel. I'm sad that we don't have that panel here. I just want to see 3PO saying, oh dear, whilst holding a Glock in one hand.
He goes, oh dear, and he's in the background of a shot, but in the foreground, it's a holster hanging on the wall.
That's a missed opportunity there.
I don't think we actually get any art of 3PO holding the gun, but more on that later.
That's a shame. Okay, I'll put a pin in it.
Back in the facility, shooting their way through stormtroopers, Han and Leia get to an AT-AT hangar and order all the prisoners to get into one of the transports. Leia then realises they've lost Luke. Luke, elsewhere in the factory, is following the voice of Ben Kenobi. He tells Ben that Vader's here and they need to face him, but Ben replies, listen to me very carefully. Run, as Vader appears before him.
He really said, you are not ready for this.
And
you need to go.
If you look at image 2, you can see this confrontation. It's a whole page.
Oh, nice.
It's a good Dutch angle. Good.
It is. Luke's legs are very, very wide, however.
It's his
He's
famous
kind
A
of
pose.
slaying. It's his famous A pose.
Do you not know about Luke Skywalker's famous A pose?
Oh, now I do. Now I'm fully aware of it.
And then if we go on to the issue 2 cover,
I will. Ooh, yes, a nice one.
a very
Thank
geometric
God
Darth
for this,
Vader.
because yeah, he's like oh, that's like how I draw him.
It's
I would be like, fuck during this body shape, I'm just gonna put the whole cape there.
it's giving Nazgul looking for hobbits.
It kind of is, to be honest, and thank goodness for this inconspicuous pile of scrap.
Han and Chewie are hiding behind rubble while the entire Imperial military is behind them.
That was the worst Chewbacca.
Vader tells Luke he holds the lightsaber like an untrained child. And Luke tells Vader that he killed his father, to which the Sith replies, I've killed many fathers. You'll have to be more
Oof,
specific.
Jesus. What he should have said was, I am an untrained child. Ease up.
They fight, but Luke is easily bested because he's an untrained child. And
He's
Vader
an
pulls
untrained
Luke's
child.
saber into his grasp. Vader says Luke isn't worth the seconds it will take to kill him and asks who sent him to die. Luke tells Vader that he saw him kill Master Kenobi, and Vader replies, that makes sense, because Obi-Wan was never much of a master.
Wow. Okay. That's mean for a start. God. I'm actually kind of shook by that. That's actually really awful.
This is Vader in his reputation era, if we're using Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
He's going full villain.
Uh yeah, he's in his villain arc. Well and truly.
Vader asks Luke to turn on rebels and lead him to a pilot who destroyed the Death Star, or die. And Luke replies that he would never join Vader. Vader says, so be it, pulling both lightsabers up to swipe. Then noticing the weapon Luke was holding. One which once belonged to... This thought is cut short, as a foot of an AT-AT crashes through the ceiling. Han tells Luke he's clearing a way to the exit, as the AT-AT continues through the factory, followed by a lot of slaves on the ground. Luke gets up to join, but his blue saber goes flying through a Mon Calamari slave, Vader throwing it and just using the Force to guide it around, cutting people down around Luke, before calling more stormtroopers to his location. As Han pilots the AT-AT through the facility, Leia tells him to watch out as he almost stepped on a Twi'lek, advising him if he's going to step on anyone, make it the Man in Black. Han asks Leia to do something useful, like shoot, but Leia points out that Han picked their one AT-AT without working guns, an issue R2-D2 and a Jawa are trying desperately to fix.
Nice going, genius.
Back at the Falcon, 3PO descends the ramp, warning the scavengers to scatter, but before he makes it to the bottom, he drops the blaster, and ends up having to surrender.
Oh, poor 3PO.
The scavengers speak a language he doesn't recognise, so he asks them to repeat themselves, and they just shoot him in the chest.
Oh, 3PO. He's having such a bad day.
Luke continues to run through the facility, his father's blade haunting him. He wonders what he was doing, dreaming of being a hero when he's just a farm boy. Then he sees a speeder bike, and remembers he's a farm boy who can bullseye womp rats. He gets on and rides through, shooting down stormtroopers effortlessly. As Vader thinks he may have dismissed the boy too soon, an AT-AT foot crashes down next to him. Leia tells Han to try again, when the leg lifts up on its own, held by the Sith Lord. Leia warns Han that Vader's using the Force, and when Han argues the Force doesn't exist, she tells him to inform Vader that. R2 then beeps, and when Han asks what he said, Leia says, he said fire, pushing a button and blasting Vader. AT-AT escapes the facility, but they haven't heard from Chewbacca or 3PO in a while. Luke rides through the rubble, picking up his lightsaber, warning that Vader may still be out there. Sure enough, somewhere in the factory's rubble, Vader uses the Force to free himself. But he's lost his mask. A stormtrooper comes over to update him, but upon seeing his face, Vader lifts a hand and snaps his neck. He then uses the Force to lift his helmet back on his head, as Overseer Agadine tells him that the core meltdown has gone too far and they need to evacuate. Vader tells the Overseer that if the factory explodes, then his men are going to go with it. He says that all the invaders must die, except the boy. And if we go on to the cover of issue 3.
I will. Some serious stuff is going down. This is all very, very serious. You go, Luke.
Another Luke power pose. Him on his speeder in like a whirlwind of stormtrooper corpses.
Oh, what was it that they... do you remember that Jenny Nicholson video where they went over the old, the unused script for episode 9? What was it they called Luke that she found really funny?
Oh, I can't
It was
remember.
like a whirling... what was it? It was really funny. I was going to say that he's this is what he is right now. It was something like a whirling dervish or something like that. That's what he's doing.
Han and Leia decide they have to ride the AT-AT to the trash field to meet the Falcon there, hopefully in a position to fly. Meanwhile, 3PO has reset to his mission on the Tantive, as the scavengers take his body away in pieces.
Aww.
Until furry hands grab one from behind and throw him. Chewbacca fights the scavengers away and gets on the comms. Han is overjoyed to hear his buddy alive. He tells Rookie to fly and meet them, and Leia comments that the factory should have already blown up, so the Empire must have stopped the meltdown. As the AT-AT rounds a corner, it comes face to face with tanks and AT-STs, troop carriers, all the weapons the factory's output. Han tells Chewie to hurry up, but the Wookiee replies, "Roar!"
Yours is much better than mine.
Or in basic, that repairs will take another day and a half. Suddenly the AT-AT starts dropping, as Darth Vader cuts one of its legs. Han asks how many times they have to kill him before he's actually dead, as the AT-AT crashes to the floor. While Han is beat up in the crash, Leia manages to carry him out. Vader orders his troops to kill the rebels. Luke on his speeder bike meets Leia, but while she wants to leave the slaves to the trash fields, Luke wants to go back to the factory, as the mission can't be for nothing. As he speeds away, Vader sees him, throwing a stormtrooper off their own speeder. He gets on and chases after the rebel.
Mean.
Luke rushes through the factory, as Vader shoots after him, doing more damage. At the core, a tech is celebrating, stopping the meltdown, as Luke flies past shooting it and starting it anew. The tech then cries, "This can't be happening! Vader will have my..." as Vader's speeder rushes past and decapitates him.
Oh no!
Luke flies up the factory as it explodes, and Vader lifts Rebel off just in time to see the Falcon get away. In the ship, everyone has seen better days. As they race to the sky, they see 3 Star Destroyers, but Leia hits the hyperdrive, and when it works, she tells Han that the ship isn't all that bad, knowing full well that he's like so concussed he won't remember it.
Give him a little kiss while you're at it.
Leia then tells Luke that what he did was reckless, but one day he'll make a great Jedi. He replies that they should all be dead, and Vader was right. He is no Jedi. Back on the planet, Vader gets a comm from Captain Kron of the ISD Adjudicator, letting him know Rebels have escaped. So Vader does what a normal person would do, and uses the Force to choke him to death.
Standard, basically, at this point. If you'd asked me what I thought Vader did in response to this, is probably what I would have said.
Vader then thinks that the boy is probably Kenobi's last great hope. Kenobi. But warns that he's untrained, and when Vader gets hold of him, he'll become Vader's weapon. Meanwhile, on Tatooine, 2 murderers ride over the Dune Sea to drop a body, riding past the house of the crazy old wizard Kenobi. We zoom into the house, onto a box, with "For Luke" written on the top.
Ooh.
We're now halfway through this first volume of Star Wars, and it's time that we switch over to Vader, because these 2 series are concurrent.
That's a plot twist. That's a hell of a plot twist.
I can do plot twists sometimes. So yeah,
I was
these
about
2
to say when
series...
you said halfway through. I was like, are we halfway through? It feels like we're only like 1 issue in.
It's a lot of action, so there's a pace to it.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of action. But yeah.
So these 2 series are concurrent, and there are some events that coincide. So I have looked up a issue by issue order, and that's why I've been reading them, because the first time I read it trade by trade, and I thought I'd tell you the story in canon order as well.
Yeah, why not?
So Darth Vader 2015, Volume 1, Vader, which again collects volumes 1 to 6 of Vader, which were released between the 11th of February and the 3rd of June 2015. It's written by Kieran Gillen, who is my favourite comic book writer. He's written my favourite series, The Wicked and the Divine, and he's written my favourite single issue, which is Die Issue 19. And like Jason Aaron, he has a history of Marvel, having worked on Young Avengers, recently Eternals, and a while ago a forerunner of his own. The art is by the infamous Salvador Larroca, which we'll get onto why he's infamous in a few episodes' time.
Yeah, I'm curious.
This was the second Marvel book to drop, with storytelling parallels to the main series, and we'll get to more about later. And Emily, would you like to read the second crawl?
I will. I will spare you the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, because we've already had one of those, and I don't have another one in me, I don't think. Yeah, you're right. Well, anyway, it is a period of insurgents. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base on a moon of Yavin have won a shocking surprise victory against the rightful reign of the Galactic Empire. The Empire's ultimate peacekeeping force, the Death Star, was destroyed due to an unforeseen design flaw. Without this deterrent, the rule of law is in danger. Chaos looms. For the 19 years after the vanquishing of the Jedi and his painful rebirth on volcanic Mustafar, Sith Lord Darth Vader has faithfully served his master, but now he has failed the Emperor and must pay the price.
See, Chaos Looms is a great crawl line.
It is! I was feeling that. That middle paragraph, I was really feeling it. And also, an unforeseen design flaw. Mads Mikkelsen has something to say.
Also, it makes Vader a relatable villain, because his dad also isn't proud of him.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, like, all of the best Star Wars villains have dads that aren't proud of them. Shout out to Ben Solo.
Oh no!
I did it! I waited for the moment, and that was
wiping off a 3 and replacing it with a 0.
You get to make a post about it. You'll be fine.
Follow us on Instagram at Crashing with Starfighter.
Hey.
So, if you move to image 5, you can see the first cover for Vader.
I will. I'll move to image 5. Oh, hello. Oh, that's a power pose. He's giving Luke a run for his money.
Like father, like son.
Yeah, I like the mysterious mist.
It's an image of Vader escaping his meditation pod. I don't know why I picked the word escaping there.
Escaping? He got locked in there by accident. Somebody accidentally hit, like, the lock key.
Twin suns. Jabba's palace. Tatooine. The gate opens and in walks Darth Vader. As he slices down Gamorrean guards, Bib Fortuna comes out and Vader requests an audience with his boss, lifting his saber. Bib has to go in and wake Jabba up, warning that he's here. And Jabba welcomes Vader, saying that he's arrived early, butchered the guards, and still expects the Hutt cartel to deal with the Empire. Vader replies that he's only killed 2 guards, and asks Jabba if he'd like this generosity to be reconsidered. Jabba clears the room of all his courtesans, and then asks Vader what he can do for the Empire. Not for the Empire, for me. I will return tomorrow in my official capacity. This is a personal issue.
Ooh.
Jabba warns that Jedi mind tricks won't work on him, wanting to drop Vader into the Rancor pit. Unfortunately, the Sith avoids the trapdoor. When over bounty men force his head, Jabba calls some of his men back in to shoot Vader. The Sith fights with the attackers, and tells Jabba he's no Jedi before choking the slug. He says that the Jedi's use tricks, while the dark side uses force.
Can we rename the podcast to Choking the Slug?
That could be our official after show.
Yeah, there we go, Choking the Slug.
Choking the slug sounds like the grossest euphemism.
It really does. It really, really does.
Ugh. I was looking at pictures of Jabba yesterday, and let me just tell you, I was choking for Emily.
Absolutely fucking choking it. Oh god, I feel slimy now. Oh no, I feel terrible. I feel deeply unclean. I hate this actually. I regret bringing this up.
Vader warns that Jedi use tricks, while the dark side uses force. Letting go of Jabba's throat, the Slug agrees to help Vader, saying that the Sith drives a hard bargain, and asks what it is he needs. A day earlier, in the Imperial Palace on Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine reprimands Vader for what happened on Cymoon. Vader brought Overseer Agadine back with him, and as he's tortured for information, Vader tells Palpatine the Overseer won't fail him again, to which the Emperor replies, "And what of you, Vader?"
Ooh, that was a good one.
"We have no Senate to hold order, and no Death Star to force it. And all that failure is on you for letting the Death Star plans escape." Vader argues that others are responsible, but Palp retorts that the likes of Tarkin and Motti are not around to take his anger, while Vader is. He says, "You clearly are the chosen one, Vader. The one chosen to take responsibility."
Why does he sound like his dad?
Like I said, Vader's dad is
chosen one, are you? He's actually like, "Well, you're the chosen one, are you? Well, I'm choosing you to take some fucking responsibility around here, son."
He takes his cloak off to rid. He's wearing some like waist high jeans and like a plaid shirt, hands on hips. Now, boy.
Oh, now, boy. This is starting to get a bit Kratos, actually.
Vader wants to kill the rebels and make things right, but Cassio Tag, one of the Imperials in the famous boardroom scene in Episode 4, was the only one to take the rebels as a serious threat, and as such, Palps promoted him to Grand General and made him Vader's new boss.
Oh, I love... Oh, his new boss! Oh, I love this for him.
But before Vader can go to his new boss, Palp has sent him to negotiate with the Hutts on Tatooine, a journey that he thinks may be sentimental for Vader.
I mean, he just was there, to be fair.
No, that was a day later. This is a flashback.
Oh, this is a flashback. I forgot this is a flashback.
I know.
My media comprehension skills.
Vader didn't even get in a buff, so it's fair that you didn't get that.
Yeah, that's true, actually. I've been poisoned by modern Star Wars storytelling.
As Vader goes to leave, a strange-looking man he doesn't recognise comes to meet with the Empire, and you recognise this guy. His face is mostly human, but it's kind of patchwork of other species as well.
Oh. Okay.
Vader asks his dad, the Emperor, if he's hiding something.
Daddy.
And Palp replies that if Vader actually expects an answer, he's a poor apprentice.
Oh, goddamn. The quips are coming hard and fast from Palpatine today.
Before he goes, he asks if anything else that Vader would like to report, and Vader thinks of a boy on the factory of his lightsaber, and tells Palp there's nothing for him to worry about. Back on Tatooine, Vader is standing in a slaughtered Tusken village, while he waits to meet with Jabba's two best bounty hunters, one Boba Fett and one Blackest Chrysanthemum.
Ooh.
He sends Fett to capture the rebel boy, and Chrysanthemum to follow the weird agent the Emperor met with. And now we're going to jump back to Star Wars, Issue 4.
Oh, we're going. So, if I'm remembering right, Chrysanthemum is the Wookiee.
Yep. I didn't have a note of that, so I'm glad you remembered.
Yo, I'm glad I remembered as well. I love that guy. He's great. Alright, we're jumping back.
If you look at the fourth cover.
I do. That's a pretty cool one. It looks like just like a really, really big Vader, and he's also doing the A pose now that I realise it.
It's A pose Vader in like the sky on Tatooine. The twin suns are making his balls, and
I was thinking of it, and I was like, they really deliberately had to. They have to be careful where they put those.
But somehow they still picked the wrong place.
Somehow, I was thinking of it, and I was like, do I mention it? Am I that juvenile? I don't know.
What is your name? Luke. Luke who? Luke Darth Vader's balls.
I mean, he did come from there, so he's not wrong.
Stormtroopers overrun Jabba's palace as Vader arrives to negotiate. He tells Jabba to agree to the terms or die, and Jabba tells Vader that he knows how to strike a bargain.
Oh,
He continues that he wouldn't deny his good friend the Emperor in a time of need,
his friend-perra.
especially after the Death Star and Sire Moon disasters. But Vader says those events are rebel propaganda. Vader turns to
Didn't
leave,
happen.
but Jabba convinces him to stay, as he likes to celebrate with all business ventures by watching something die. On the Rebel fleet, Han and Chewie are still repairing the Falcon. Luke trains with his saber against remote droids but keeps getting hit, and Leia petitions for Rebel panel including Akbar and Mothma, but the Rebels need to do more. Mothma says that they're limited in what they can do until they set up a new base, and asks if Leia is pushing her team too hard. Leia goes to speak to Luke, but he's not interested in whatever mission she has. Vader bested him no problem, and he feels like a liability until he gets stronger, so he ups and leaves. Back on Tatooine, a group of Rhodians approach a stranger in a green hood. They've heard the stranger is offering a big reward. They've come to take it by force, but the stranger is prepared. She says knees, and a voice-activated smart target shoots the knees of the attackers. One raises a gun, so she says hand, and he screams.
I think you know what I'm thinking about right now.
What are you thinking about right now?
She could just go cock and balls. I'd love that for them.
She said she figured her reward would bring out some scum, which is good because she's looking for scum. Scum called Solo. Have you heard of him?
No.
The Rhodians ask if they really think they'll give her the information after she's shot them, and she says it's a fair point, and says lips. But one of the Rhodians manages to get her to hold fire, telling her Han Solo is no longer on Tatooine. The stranger gets up to leave, and the Rhodians ask about the reward. You're alive, aren't you? A herd of Banthas is being chased by Jabba's sail barge, as Jabba's goons shoot at it. Salacious Crumb, Jabba's monkey lizard, laughs at the deaths, and Vader warns if it makes that noise again, he'll kill it. Jabba laughs, saying he's glad that him and Vader are now good friends. And Vader says that Jabba presumes too much. Jabba, trying to use some leverage, asks how his bounty hunters are doing. For ones that Vader sent after the boy who blew up the Death Star. A possible Jedi? Vader asks about Kenobi, and Jabba says he was a thorn in his side, before telling his pilot to take the sail barge to the Sarlacc pit. As they leave, Jabba thinks of the boy, and asks Vader if he ever imagined someone of note would ever be born on Tatooine. Speaking of Tatooine, Luke jumps in his X-Wing and sets course for Sandball. Leia and Han tell him to be safe, as he heads to the one place he thinks he may get answers. Back at the bar, the Rhodians are bandaged up, and approached by someone else who's looking for someone. When they say they have no idea where Solo went, the voice says he can wait, and asks about Kenobi. They tell the stranger where the crazy old wizard lives, and ask why he's being looked for. The stranger replies, Kenobi is dead, and Boba Fett is asking the questions.
Ooh.
It was Boba Fett asking the questions.
It was literally just Boba Fett. I was like, is this a guy who works for Boba Fett? Or...
it's confusing. He's referred to himself in third person, but yeah.
He's just talking to himself in third person.
It's literally Boba Fett asking the questions.
That's a real crime boss thing to do.
Next cover?
Let's go.
Darth Vader Issue 2.
Ooh!
We get Vader strutting his stuff on the runway.
My God, slay!
That's Tag in the background, just looking on disapprovingly.
He really does look disapproving. I'm wondering where his eyes are at, because his eyes aren't like squinting here. I don't know.
It's not at Vader's head. It's kind of like at his pecs.
It's not. Yeah, it's not at Vader's head. It's fully at like chest height. It
Mm-hmm.
must be like pecs. What can I say? He's a boobs man.
In the middle of space, a Lambda-class shuttle is being chased by a pirate corvette. As the corvette fires torpedoes, the Imperials fear all is lost. Before they hit, the torpedoes are destroyed by Darth Vader in his TIE Advance. As the corvette goes to escape, Vader orders his Black Squadron to capture it, before returning with the prize to the Adjudicator. On the Star Destroyer's bridge, Tak tells Vader that this kind of rising crime is to be expected after a major disaster. He tells Vader that the Death Star was a mistake, and that a fleet of Super Star Destroyers would have been a much better way to serve the Empire.
Oh, huh.
Vader counters that
Interesting.
Tarkin had ambition, while Tag only has graphs, and the Grand General corrects that he has graphs and the command.
How dare you insult my graph?
I like a man from admin, you know?
Yeah,
Admins can succeed.
they can. You know, just give them a chance.
It turns out the pirate ship was droid controlled. The Imperial tech has been able to trace it back to its base. Vader is to lead the attack, but Tak has assigned him an admin assistant called Lieutenant One. The lieutenant wants to access Vader's personal comms. As the Sith goes to prep, One asks about a bounty hunter called Boba Fett, and Vader says he'll explain it when they return, before disappearing into his quarters with an astromech.
Ooh.
At the edge of the Outer Rim, in an asteroid base, a mix of species are happy to see the droid ship return. As it docks, someone asks if they've got a fine collection of Imperial weapons, and as the door opens, Vader says yes, showing off a lot of stormtroopers. As Vader works through the station, killing all the rebels in his path, his droid makes its way onto the outside of the ship, and finds a data port. As Vader continues, he points out that self-destruct hasn't been activated yet, showing the insurgents still have some misplaced hope. Against the Imperial odds, Pirates activates something sold to them by Aphra, with big promises. A pair of upgraded destroyer droids, which are, droid eaters.
Ooh. Oh, okay, yeah.
They start taking down the Imperials with their missiles. And One asks Vader if there's anything he can do. And then Vader lifts his hand, catches all of the missiles with the Force, and just spins it back, destroying the droids.
Nice.
As the self-destruct finally starts up, Vader tells his troops to return to the ship, while One has to follow him. It's his job to observe, and observe he shall.
Observe he shall.
Vader gets to a data
I
port
love
and
this
steals
guy.
information from the station before returning to his ship. The hallway starting to explode without them, and One definitely has some shit in his pants.
Poor One. The guy is literally just an admin man, you know?
Yep.
Oh,
Back on the bridge
bless.
of the Adjudicator, Vader tells Tak that the mission was a success, before dropping the body of One at his feet. He tells Tak that the admin was a spy, and that he could easily tell by how much he was prying, and that he has the records to prove it, warning that if Tak sends someone else to watch over Vader, Vader will watch him back. After the meeting, Vader goes to an airlock and meets with his droid, asking if all evidence of the data being placed was destroyed. The droid confirms, so Vader tells him to eject himself from the ship and blow himself up, which he does.
Ooh.
We're now going on to issue 3, but I'm not going to get you to look at that cover yet.
Okay. Alright, I won't.
Because you see, on Quarantine World 3, in Caladan space, a woman looks at an empty room, searching for traps. She pulls out some microdroid dust and blows it, revealing a laser grid, which she then crawls under. At the end she finds her prize, the 000 Matrix, and carefully rewires the circuit board it's housed in. On her way back through the room, she accidentally gets caught by one of the lasers, and gets up and runs back the way she came, under constant automatic blaster fire. As she thinks she might be safe, a droid eater in ball mode rolls after her as the door in front shuts. She slides out and gets out just in time, smiling to herself before looking up and seeing the TB2 battle droids aiming their guns at her. A Kaladar greets her. Dr. Aphra, you're an irresponsible and troublesome woman. I didn't know you worked here, Utanize. Why am I not surprised? I am also not surprised to find you tripping alarms. There is a reason the 000 Matrix has been locked up all this time. Yes, because of small-minded people like you. It belongs in an armory!
It belongs in an armory!
As the argument continues, a TIE fighter approaches and lands, and Darth Vader gets out. Zane tries to get the Sith Lord to stand back, but he lifts his hand and sends the droids flying. Zane uses the distraction to grab the Matrix and run, but Aphra is quick to follow, tackling the alien to the ground. Zane throws the Matrix towards the ledge, and Aphra jumps after it, grabbing it with one hand, or holding onto the ledge for dear life with the other. As she pulls herself back, she sees Zane dead, and Vader offering her his hand. Dr. Aphra, I have need of you. Escaping on Aphra's ship, the Archangel, Vader explains that he was impressed by her droids. Aphra asks how he found her, and we see a montage of Vader smashing heads, before she changes her mind, saying she doesn't want to know. Aphra shows him the 000 Matrix, and explains it's for a protocol droid. It can speak languages no other droid can. It was locked away because sometimes it steals blood.
That's not such much of a big deal. It only happens sometimes.
She says it would take a few hours to get past the code locking, but Vader, using his droid mending skills, sorts it in seconds. Aphra comments that Sir Vader is more interesting than she could have hoped, and he corrects her, Lord Vader. They put the chip in a black protocol droid and activate it. 000 greets him, saying he's fit for translation and torture, holding out his hand for a shake. Aphra sets herself and Vader up as masters to the droid, and he retracts his hand, saying it would have killed them. And he wouldn't want that now. Aphra then gets Trip to activate a black astromech, a product of the same Tarkin initiative that 000 came out of, and who can only be woken up by the project's base code. 000 complies, and as Vader asks if this was all for an astromech, Aphra corrects him, saying that BT-1 is a blastromech, an assassin droid made to blend in. Activated, BT opens up to reveal his personal armory and trains it on Aphra and Vader, before 000 comes in and says there's no need to use these weapons on their new masters. Aphra, clearly stressed out, curls into a ball on the ground and asks Vader what he wants. He explains that he needs his own personal stash of resources away from the Empire. And Aphra gets up, excited that Vader could be her new purpose. Luckily, the droid Gotra, who she was meant to be taking 000 and BT-1 back to, told her of an unusual droid factory on Geonosis. And now, if you look at the issue 3 cover...
I will. Also, I want to say that I love Evil 3PO and R2. They're literally just... It's cover, like... Whoa!
There they are.
That's cool.
There they are.
There they are.
And there's Aphra.
Oh,
we finally made it.
Oh, we finally here. We're here.
One of my favorite Star Wars characters. One of every gay's favorite Star Wars characters.
Yeah, I was about to say this one. This one is for the gays. Look at Evil 3PO and R2. It's so funny. I love it. It's like kind of dumb, but also great.
It's so dumb, but it's also... I also love how the opening for Aphra is just the opening of Raiders.
Yeah, literally.
Like, even has the bull chasing her, and then, this belongs in a museum!
Belongs in a museum. They literally were just like, hey, you like Indiana Jones. This is Indiana Jones. Please like her.
There's a reason I like Kieran Gillen's writing. And it's because it's shameless.
You know what? Fair enough.
It's shameless and gay, and what more do you need?
Also, 000 really looks like an original character Do Not Steal, and I love that for him.
They both like original characters Do Not Steal.
Yeah. You probably didn't recognise me with the red eyes.
Yeah, I can't wait for the journey we're about to go on over the next few weeks with with these droids.
With these boys, I'm glad that they're here.
I say next few weeks. I can't wait for the journey we're going to go on over the next few years of these boys. Let's be more realistic.
I mean, perhaps.
And then if we go straight on to the next cover.
I will. Whoa!
It's Darth Vader surrounded by spooky droids.
These droids are they're very spooky. This looks like a Halloween cover.
Would you like to find out why they're spooky?
I would love to find out why they're spooky. I love me a spooky little droid. Let's go.
After the Clone Wars, Geonosis was sterilized of most life. But the droid Gotcha heard word of a surviving queen taking over a droid factory underground. Sending BT and 000 to lead the way, Aphra asks Vader if he's been to Geonosis before. And he thinks of Anakin's first kiss with Padme before telling his companion to stop probing. I'm a rogue archaeologist. Digging is kind of what I do. In the catacombs, 000 comes face to face with the droids. Normal BE-1s, with glowing red eyes in the darkness, and wings to make them look more like Genosians. 000 guesses they speak the planet's hive mind, and gloats he knows it too, before pointing out he has nothing worth saying. He then steps back as BT destroys everything in their way. And I did show you an image of this. It's the next image.
Oh, is it the next image? Holy shit! It's fucking brutal. Evil R2 is something else.
with all the
Oh my
droids
God.
destroyed, as he goes out, 000 goes, "Oh no, actually I have got some words worth saying. Haha, you're on fire, and also dead."
You're on fire and also dead. That's so mean.
I love these two so much.
Yeah. Oh, we love to see it. Comic relief evil duo. We love it.
But also kind of terrifying, as that image shows.
Yeah. They're like Hannibal Lecter and Will Graham, but like in Star Wars. They're gay and evil.
What a friend.
What a friend. It's the funniest line that's ever been in any film ever. It's just 3PO turning to Arthur and going, "Such a friend."
We've all seen Star Wars, Emily. We know it goes.
It's like it's gone so far that it feels like a no homo attempt. It's like, you think that these droids have like Bert and Ernie energy? No, they are friends.
As Aphra and Vader follow through the carnage, Aphra sees the droids, and thinks they're more than that. They're now the Queen's surrogates. As they enter a big room to see the Queen, they notice her womb is built into the factory's mainframe. Smile on her face. Smile on her face. Aphra asks Vader if this is still a good idea, before he jumps down to the Queen, activates his lightsaber, and says yes. The Queen, in shock, asks if the Empire hasn't taken enough from her planet, and the Sith replies no. He then cuts her from the machine and throws half her body across the room, giving her a chance to call her children to attack.
That's horrible.
BT rains fire on the droids, as Aphra tries to get a locator beacon working, but when its thrusters break, she jumps down into the fire and gets Vader to use the Force to attach it to the ceiling. Cowering behind the Sith, she sets the Archangel to blow a hole to where they are, before attaching mag clamps to the factory's core and flying off using a Nubian Royal starship Vader had lying around. In space, the two ships dock together. Aphra and the droids have got the factory spitting out assassin droids. They may not be perfect yet, but BT can work on getting it in 100%, and 000 has some improvements ideas of his own. Aphra turns to Vader and says, "Look, I know what you're going to do. Make it a lightsaber through the neck. I've done my job, and I assume you want to get rid of me. If I get a veto, I don't want to be shot out an airlock. I have nightmares about suffocating in space. Just lightsaber,
Honestly,
neck,
same.
do it."
Fucking same. I can't watch Gravity. Like, I'm sorry, Sandra, I can't do it. I'm with Aphra on this one. The idea of being stuck out in space and, like, suffocating is genuinely terrifying.
Vader looks at her, and she explains that, "Look, I'm not stupid. When you first appeared, I knew this was how it was going to end. I'm just happy to be in the margins of a story worth telling. You still have use. But if you try and blackmail me, you will find yourself dead. Okay, just remember, lightsaber through the neck, please. Thank you.
Make it quick. Thank you.
As Triple Zero comes in, he tells him a black chrysanthemum has come with his prey. Attached to a torture chair, the man Vader saw in Palp's office managed to realise he was being followed before heading to his base. Vader wants to know where his base is and what job he's doing for the Emperor. Sadly, Vader's very busy, but luckily, he has a new torture droid who can get us information, a task Triple Zero says he's looking forward to immensely.
Oh no.
Very shortly, Triple Zero comes into a bridge with some good news and some bad news. Good news first, Triple Zero knows the man's name. He was called Dr. Silo 4, and found out where his base is. Vader says that now his usefulness has come to an end, he should be killed. And Triple Zero is delighted to say he has doubly good news in that case.
One step ahead of you, boss.
The torture droid puts in the coordinates to the base, an organic structure in a nebula, before asking its master if he's excited to meet his rivals. Vader asks for an explanation, and Triple Zero goes, you know, the rivals the Emperor's working on to work as replacements for you.
Oh.
Set course.
Oh. Oh.
And now we're going to take a break from Vader and go back to the world of Star Wars.
Damn. Sucks to be Vader right now. His
How are
dad
you
is so
feeling?
not proud of him. It's like I feel kind of bad for Vader. Like, he's a shitty dude, but like his dad just does not love him.
I love how shitty we're making him in this. Like, they're really leaning into
Yeah.
the evil side of him, while also making him still kind of sympathetic somehow.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, you gotta feel bad for a dude when, like, you know, the guy that, like, basically is, like, his only father figure, like, it just, like, is planning to replace him with a bunch of, like, fucking replacement dudes. That kind of sucks. It's like, you know, he's done so much for Palps. And, yeah, so sad. I think that Charles Soule had a hand in this.
The Star Wars Issue 5 cover, if you please.
I will. Issue 5. Oh, that one's got some vibes to it.
There are some
I like
strong
it.
faces on
Leia
this.
looks so mad. Yeah, Leia is so pissed. She's just so angry on this cover. She
Han's
doesn't
like-
want to be here.
Han's got jaw lock.
Yeah, he does. And Luke's doing his, like, the classic, like, what? Like, ooh, sort of pose. I don't
He's
know
doing,
how
like,
best to
the
describe it.
the James Bond intro. He's turning to the barrel
Yeah,
and
that's
shooting.
what it is. That's it. That's what I'm thinking of. I was like, oh, it's like a thing that people do when they aim, like, at the camera. And I was like, it's James Bond! That's exactly it, yeah.
Side note, Cara Delevingne would make a great Bond.
You know what? I'd be willing to see it.
I think I've said in here before, Cara Delevingne is my personal fan cast for Luke Skywalker. Don't question it. And yeah, she'd make a
I won't.
killer Bond.
I'll support it. Yeah, sure. She can have my vote.
When Luke left Tatooine, he said there was nothing there left for him. But now, as he returns, he hopes he was wrong, as he starts across the desert to Den's house. In the cantina he stopped at with Ben days earlier, where he first met Han Solo, Boba Fett is trying to get his name. A big forearm fella picks a fight, but Boba cuts off one arm and breaks for 3 others, before a bartender says that, sure, Ben came in here a couple of days ago with a kid, but he's just some farmer. No one ever seen him before. At that moment, another kid runs past, but before he can escape, Boba launches his rope and catches him. Back at the Rebel fleet, Han goes to ask Leia for the parts he needs to fix the Falcon, but she points out there's a war on, and they need to get the resources to the right places.
There's a war on, mate. Come on.
Han's like, every resource, I get you. You need me around, do you? And Leia replies, trust me, I want to get rid of you, but right now, if you help me with this mission, you can have your parts.
Ooh.
Han goes, help you?
Somewhere.
I just blew up something that was really big to help you. And Leia's like, Han, the Death Star was 3 days ago. Get over the past. Name one time you've been useful, and don't say the Death Star. Han agrees to help her on this one mission, and when Leia asks what he'll do after that, he says, "Stop living with future princess." Back at the canteen, the kid tells Fett everything he knows about Luke Skywalker, from where his aunt and uncle live, to the fact he was nicknamed Wormy by his friends.
Wait, what? Luke had another nickname?
So, yeah, in the deleted scenes of Episode 4 and also in the novelization, Luke meets his friends on Tatooine, and they all call him Wormy.
That's kind of adorable. That's actually kind of sweet. I did not know that. I thought that he was just a little noodle scooter.
No, that comes later on.
Yeah,
Still kind of worm-based.
that's true, actually.
Fett then shoots the kid and heads out. Back in the desert, Luke and R2 approach Ben's house, and Luke confides in R2 that he sometimes still hears Ben talk to him. He knows it's a long shot, but he has to hope that Ben has something in that house linked to the Jedi. And when he gets to Ben's house, he finds it covered in sand people.
Uh-oh.
In an Imperial shuttle, Han and Leia are out looking for a new rebel base. Han's upset that he's a co-pilot when he's one with a ship, and Leia says that yeah, and I'm sure you won that ship fair and square, and Han goes, "And he wasn't cheating? You don't know, lad." And that's when 2 TIE fighters come up behind them, saying they're not authorised to be in the sector. Leia tells him on a secret mission, scouting, and sends him over clearance codes. But Han gets jumpy and tries to fly away just as the TIEs tell them the codes are accepted. Han over the comms tries to play it off as an engine malfunction, but it doesn't work, and the TIE fighters get after them. As they're in like a clunky shuttle, they know the TIE fighters can outmaneuver them. And Han realises that they're close to the Monsua Nebula and flies them to it, much to Leia's disgust. The TIEs, not wanting to follow into the dangerous conditions, back off, but as they fly deeper in, Han trips a tracker. In her ship, the stranger who was looking for Han sets course to the nebula. Back on Tatooine, Luke manages to scare the Tuskens away before he can hurt them, feeling overtaken with anger and frustration. Ben's house is scrapped, and since the sand people didn't take anything with them, Luke assumes there was nothing worth taking. R2 starts beeping excitedly, and Luke comes over to see a box marked for Luke.
For Luke.
But before he can open it, a flash grenade goes off, blinding him, and stopping him from seeing Boba Fett enter behind him. Star Wars Issue 6, Emily.
Yay!
Next cover.
My man really fell for that trap, huh? That was kind of a very obvious trap. There was literally a box with his name on. Alright. Oh, this is a good one.
Oh, a box wasn't the trap. The grenade was thrown in after him.
Yeah, I know, but like it was kind of left in a conspicuous place. It looked like a trap.
Okay.
You know?
I'll let you off.
You know?
Okay.
This is the best cover yet, by the way. This one's got vibes. I like it a lot.
It's Luke Skywalker in a crosshair.
Yeah.
And he's not doing the pose.
It's got like one of my favourite colour combos, which is like fucking swampy, sickly green with like bright red on top. Love it.
I'm going to make a promise for people of the internet right here, and that is I haven't put any in this pack, but on the Instagram I'm going to put on some of my favourite Boba Fett panels from this book, because there are some great Fett content.
Some great Fett content for all the Fett lovers out there.
And Emily, if you want to see this man before he became a crime boss, you too are going to have to go to our Instagram at Crashing with Starfighter.
And you know I will be, because you know I want to hear directly from him why he wants to become a crime boss.
Oh, well, you know, I don't know what accent that was. Well, you know, Lucas hit him in the back of the head by a gun. Turning to punch his attacker, his fist hits armour, and he questions what stormtroopers are doing in the Dune Sea. You'd have to ask for stormtroopers, his attacker says before telling Luke not to move. Luke reasons that if he was wanted dead, he'd be dead, so someone must have wanted him alive, before getting up and igniting his saber. Bill points out that he's blind and no Jedi, to which Luke replies that he knew a Jedi, and that in his house.
Did he need to? Well, I know that Boba Fett already knew that, but did he need to say that?
I think he's hoping it will give him some kind of power.
The power of being in Obi-Wan Kenobi's house.
You know how, like, when you go into a church, you feel closer to God? I think Luke's hoping he's in, like, a Jedi's house, so he feels closer to the Force. But I don't think that's how it works, my dude.
No, this is literally where Obi-Wan Kenobi used to eat beans and stuff. Like, this isn't some sort of, like, holy... It's not like a Jedi temple.
He was looking
this
out...
is just, like...
He has, like, a telescope in the corner
house.
pointed at the Lars homestead, and he's like, Anakin, I'm watching your boy, Anakin.
I'm eating my beans whilst I'm doing it, Anakin.
He's getting old, Anakin. One day I'll teach him to kill you, Anakin.
Oh, God.
Luke picks up a lightsaber and starts waving it around. And while Boba tries to dodge it, he ends up tripping over R2 and falls to the floor. Turning, Luke says that Fett's arm is noisy, to which the deadly bounty hunter counters, "So's your mouth!"
That's so funny. What the fuck? He sounds so, like, offended. He's just like, it's like he's been hit with an insult and he's just like, well, yeah, but what are you? I know you are. What am I?
Your mum.
Yeah, well, wait, but your mum. Yeah, that's kind of cringe. You can't say that to me.
So's your mouth.
Oh, God.
I know sometimes I paraphrase. That line is taken straight from the book.
Excellent. He's never going to make it as a crime boss.
Maybe he doesn't want to.
Oh.
In the nebula,
This whole time.
Han and Leia have landed on a dream planet. Sunsets and waterfalls. Smuggler's retreat. Leia thinks it could make a useful base, and asks Han who knows about it. After a pause, he says it's just him, Chewbacca, and her, before taking her into a cave and offering her some Corellian wine.
Ooh.
Outside the nebula,
Okay.
one of the TIE pilots wants to return to their base ship, but the other wants to wait a little longer to make sure they're dead. Then, another ship flies past right into the nebula. Back on Tatooine, Boba is winning the fight, and warns Luke that Ben can't help him. Luke replies that Ben already has, so Boba lifts his gun and shoots the wannabe Jedi in the arm.
The power of being in his house.
Luke says
I'm not over it. I'm sorry. He's just like, you can't beat me. I'm in Ben Kenobi's house.
Luke says that a Jedi can feel the Force flowing, and Boba shoots him again, this time to find the shot deflected back at him. Boba jumps at Luke, knocking him to the ground and getting him to drop the saber. And as they both reach for it, R2 finds a box with Luke's name and beeps. Using the Force, Luke throws it into Boba's head, knocking him out. Not quite sure what happened. Luke picks up the box and puts the other hand on R2 to get him to guide the way out. Back in the Oasis, Han gets wine thrown all over his face, as Leia is sickened that he would try and seduce her when her people are in need.
Predictable. Yeah, that's definitely what was always going to happen to Han here.
As they storm out the cave, Leia sees a ship coming in, and notes it's not Imperial. She turns to Han and asks who else knows about the planet, and he replies they should run. The ship takes a shot, hitting the ground near the couple, dropping them to the ground. As Leia asks Han who's after them, the boarding ramp descends. And if you go to the next image...
Ooh, I have a theory on who it's going to be. No! Oh!
Don't ask him.
Who's this?
He'd only lie. I should know. I'm Sana Solo.
What?
His wife.
What?
And who the hell might you be?
What? What?
You just had a David Tennant moment.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say, this is like a River Song moment. And the thing is, right, you may know this about me, River Song is one of my least favourite fictional characters of all time. So I'm not saying this is an insult to her. It is a River Song moment. But I'm willing to give this woman the absolute benefit of the doubt.
And the main reason I put this panel here
Holy
is
shit.
so you can see Han's face at the bottom.
Yeah. Han knows what the fuck is going on. I really love Leia's face in these panels as well. She just looks genuinely kind of shell-shocked about this. Bless her.
Sight back, and back at his X-Wing. Luke opens the box. Inside he finds a book, titled The Journals of Ben Kenobi.
Oh.
And there is one last scene in this book, but we'll get back to that later.
Oh?
Because now we're going to jump to the next Vader issue.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Cover?
Cover?
Cover? Let's go.
Cover.
Ooh. That's a cool one.
Vader
That's like
Solo.
is that like a Vader Solo? Yeah, he's very wide in this cover. They had to make him fill the frame somehow. That is that like a green and a yellow lightsaber crossed over the front?
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
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 On Vader's Naboo ship, Aphra lets Vader know they've reached a base, a city attached to the back of a space fish. And if you go to the next image, you can see this, because I just like space fish.
Space fish? I love space fish. Oh, yo! I love him!
It's quite hectic.
Oh. Yeah, it is. I love him, though.
They launch an ion charge at the base, and before Vader boards, Aphra says, "The Force be with you," before whispering under her breath, "This is the best job of her life." As the ion charge hits the base, door controls and comms go down. As they register an unauthorized docking, those near the landing pad prepare to fight. The outline of the door glows red as something cuts through. It blasts open and in charges a protocol droid and an astromech. 000 tries to explain that he speaks so many languages that he gets confused sometimes. And BT beeps and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's the word. I'm a distraction." Behind the guards, Vader finishes cutting through the wall, venting them all into space. As 2 platoons of assassin droids enter, Vader orders 000 to open the door, to which he said he's drained the blood of more grateful masters. With the door open, Aphra tells Vader the plans we've acquired show 2 areas of resistance, the barracks and the dojo. Vader leads the first platoon to the barracks, sending the second to the dojo, while BT and Trip return to the ship. Vader deals with the barracks no issue, but when contact with Platoon 2 is lost, Vader rushes to the dojo. As a droid flies out the door, he comes face to face with 2 blonde humans, a woman with a green lightsaber, called Iolan, and a man with a yellow one, called Morat.
Ooh.
As Vader walks into the room, the man lifts his hand and the door closes, but Vader realizes it wasn't the Force, but a trick, saying, "The Force is weak with you." The pair fight Vader using tech to match his Force abilities, and saying the Sith are great in their time, but that time has passed. As the fight gets more violent, a voice orders it to stop, and Vader is shocked to see Silo 4 alive.
Ooh.
"I'm no longer Silo 4, says Silo. "I am Silo 5, and he explains that his personality map is a simulation, and that he's created himself as an immortal system.
Is this a Jar of Snoke situation?
It's kind of a Jar of Snoke situation.
Oh, yo.
It's why he's such a patchwork of creatures, because he has just, taken the best bit of different people to try and make himself immortal.
He's kind of going for a singularity type thing.
Mm-hmm. Vader says that there's nothing of a Force here, and Silo 4 tells him the Force has had its day. He's making something better, opening the door to show Vader all his replacements. And if you want to go to the next image, you can see the replacements.
I'd love to see the replacements, actually.
There's a tech with goggles and a bunch of droids. A Transocean in a fancy suit. A Mon Calamari cyborg.
Whoa!
And the twins. Vader calls what he sees blasphemous. And Silo 4 says that they're kind of Vader's children. The whole idea came from Vader's own tech, making him more machine than man. The bridge between the old and the new.
That's kind of mean.
Vader lifts his saber to cut down Silo, but is called off by the Emperor. Mwah, 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 mwah.
Father, no!
Who explains that children are kind of a sensitive spot for Vader.
Yeah, that's what I was like, it's kind of mean. I was like, don't say that.
Silo suggests a demonstration to show that his creations would be worth more as a right hand from Vader, and then put us to see something worthy of attention as the rivals prepare to attack. And that leads us on to the next issue.
And then it becomes like the Taylor Swift Bad Bob music video. It's a wonderful picture of Palpatine. Thank you very much for showing me this.
And I love how like sad but Vader looks.
He looks so dejected back there. It's so funny.
He's just been told that he's not getting pudding because he didn't finish his broccoli.
This looks like a shot from What We Do in the Shadows. It's like
it does. Oh no!
It does. It's like we've got like Matt Berry in the foreground, and then like fucking like Guillermo is really upset in the background.
Moments like this are why I love to do this podcast. And now you'll probably want to head back to the image of the replacements together.
I will, yes. I will have a look because they are a very interesting bunch.
As Vader takes up arms, the Emperor tells Silo that he's had years to work. It wouldn't be smart to let Palpy down. As the fighters go for Vader, Silo explains what makes them special. Morit and Iolonen's parents helped fund Silo's early work, and gave their children to the research as a way to make up for mistakes they made in the Clone Wars. They were raised on Palp propaganda and combat training, and have the finest technology grafted to their flesh. To demonstrate, both raise their hands and shoot fire at Vader. Palp notes that they are twins, so if one dies, he has a spare.
I love Palpatine, bro.
We all love Palpatine, bro.
We all love Palpatine here.
Next to the Trandoshan, implanted with an immortal AI, it retreats species to their base instinct and stops them feeling anything other than what the Master wishes. It can be put into any species desired, including a Rancor.
Oh, jeez.
Talon is not a warrior, but a high-level scientist. Her intelligence is spread through her swarm of droids that act as her eyes and fists. They can even shield her if an attack would come too close. Silo tells that a lot of her friends were on the Death Star, and says that her current research topic is revenge.
I hope that's verbatim.
Because baby, now we got bad blood.
Yeah. And also, like, this is a real, like, Saturday morning cartoon, like, villain team-up episode as well. It's like, this is like, you know, like, Spider-Man's villains have all teamed up.
Yeah.
Like,
it's Sinister Six.
And they're, yes, the Sinister Six, and they're all, like, talking about each other and, like, bigging each other up because they're on the same side right now.
Lastly, Commander Carbon from Mon Cal. He spent the last 18 years of his life on life support, and the last 2 being enhanced. His droid body is based on that of General Grievous, complete with 4 arms and 4 lightsabers, 2 of which are blue and 2 of which are purple.
He does look like Grievous. Yeah.
The droid commander was the V1 to Carbon's V2. Palp is intrigued by what he's seen, but wants a real demonstration. A free-for-all fight to the death. But before that, I want to know which one of these guys is your favourite.
Oh, are we picking a bias now?
Yep, give me a bias. Which one do you love? Which one do you want to die the least?
Which one do I want to die the least? I kind of like the scientist because she's giving me real like Into the Spider-Verse Doc Ock vibes.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say Entraptor, so basically the same character.
Yeah. She's very cool. She's an Overwatch character, basically. I kind of like her vibes. She's great.
I think Carbon's my favourite.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
Just what if Grievous was a fish?
What if Grievous was a fish? And he really does look like Grievous, like from the head down, you know?
He has like a little jetpack on his back as well.
Oh, that's cool.
He looks like Grievous.
Love that
He has trousers. I never saw Grievous in trousers.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's fair enough. Grievous is this establishes now that Grievous is a freak and he just walks around naked.
We stand.
Also, my last point about these guys is that the guy of the twins, I can't remember their names. The guy of the twins, Chris Pratt. Morit. Chris Pratt. Definitely Chris Pratt vibes. He would be played by Chris Pratt.
Oh no. Is that your note?
That's my note, yeah.
Okay.
I'm done, I think.
In this free-for-all battle, of course, everyone does what we would normally do in a free-for-all battle, and pair up into 1v1 matches.
That's not not how it works. Haven't these people have never played Fortnite before?
Morit fights Carbon, and Iolan goes against Talon, while Vader starts to fight for Trandoshan. These are a lot of names.
Yeah, it's a lot of people to juggle.
Being a species that can regrow its limbs means that it has no natural fear, but lack of pain means that it can be overly aggressive, backing Vader into a wall. When suddenly, a yellow blade slices through him. With first blood, Palp calls an end to the battle. The others will have their own chance to prove themselves or die. Vader tells Morit that he will not forget what he did here, and the human tells him not to get sentimental. He saved Vader now, as he seems like an easy competitor to get rid of later. Vader clarifies that Morit stole a kill from him, and that will be fixed. Palp tells the survivors they will all help sort the current chaos in the galaxy, but lets them know there can only be one left in the end. He tells them not to kill each other, and if they do, make sure Palp can't trace it, before he calls Vader away with him. He goes full proud dad mode about Vader making his own secret army, like, you're finally building your own thing away from me and my resources. That's nice.
Oh god.
I always thought you were much more of an in-the-box thinker, but yeah, maybe I undervalued you.
Knives Out vibes.
Vader's hurt that Palp's been training these abominations since the start of the Empire, and Palp reminds him how much of a failure he was on Mustafar, saying that he has no right to talk about abominations when he stands there more of a machine than man. He then clarifies that it's Vader's job to learn from Palp, and Palp's job to learn what it is to teach. And it's the way of the Sith that the strongest survive. And son, I'm sure you'll prove yourself worthy.
Oh no. This is like the speech that Vader's being given, like, as he's being cut off because he's spending too much money drinking in college, you know?
Back on the Nubian ship, Aphra has like 2 guns on her back and she's picking up a third when the door opens and Vader returns. She goes, thank God. I thought I was about to have to save you. As they launch, she tells him that Boba Fett has a report. And the next scene appears in both books.
Oh, okay.
On the bridge of a Star Destroyer, Boba Fett and Vader meet in private. Fett explains that he lost the boy but got a name. Skywalker. After an awkward silence, I guess I'll leave. And alone, Vader lets his anger get to him. And in the Darth Vader version of this, we get flashbacks of him thinking of Padme when he first heard that she was pregnant. And that his master saying that she died before she could give birth. And through the Force, clenches his fist and causes the viewport to crack. And if you look at image 18, the next one.
Ooh. It kind of looks like my windows at work, like at my office at work, have all started spontaneously cracking like this, and it looks exactly like that. So I like to think that maybe every time I get a little bit angry, there, you know.
And if you go to the next image,
Ooh.
the glass is just like completely a mess.
Damn. Yeah, it really is. Oh, he's fucked that up.
In Star Wars, the last line is Skywalker, and the book ends. But in this one, we get to see him go into his little meditation chamber and give Daddy a call.
Give Daddy a call. The thing is that he's still out here seeking Daddy's approval, but he should be the daddy that is, you know, having approval sought from now. This is where he's going wrong. He is the daddy now.
Through the hollow, Palpatine senses his anger and asks if he will speak up or if he knows his place. Vader pauses and replies that Palp likes him when he's angry, and he understands precisely what it is that they have. He then hangs up and goes back to his cracked window, looking out at his fleet. He has a son, and that son will be his, like the rest of the Empire. And that's the end of Vader Volume 1 Vader.
Vader, that's not really the way to look at raising children. They're not extensions of you, they're their own people.
Tell that to Palp.
That's true, actually. He's not been set a very good example by his own father.
They fucked up your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you up with all their flaws and add some extras just for you. That's my favourite poem, Emily. It's called This Be the Verse by Philip Larkin. Because I have a favourite poem,
Holy shit. This okay, this is a dig at me because when we were doing sound check for like audio quality, Sam said, "Go on, recite your favorite poem," and I couldn't say anything. I don't read poetry. I don't have a favorite poem.
Emily,
Star Wars.
what did you think of these books?
I thought they were like okay. I'm gonna pit them against each other here because like
Ooh, how
I'm gonna like
Palpatine of
I'm
you.
gonna have Palpatine. Yeah, exactly. I'm making them rivals now. I have like my Overwatch team on one side, and like my special boy that I've
Mhm.
raised for his entire life on the other side. Um, and I'm gonna like this is me breaking away from being like center standy and like being like, yeah, I liked it, it was good. I'm gonna pit them against each other. I'm gonna say which one was better, and Vader was better.
Ooh, explain your thoughts.
Yeah. So, number one, I feel like it really benefited from having Vader as the one central character. Like we really like got a bit into him, you know? He had like a little bit of an emotional arc on this one. He found out some things about himself. He dealt with his daddy issues. We went through a lot with him. And also Afra was in Vader, so that scores some points. And the
Hmm.
terrible death droids were in Vader, and that scores some points.
That's very fair.
And I feel like it solved a lot more questions in its runtime than the Star Wars mainline series did.
Ooh, interesting. So we're going to continue alternating novel and comic book. But for the
Ooh,
next few comic book sessions, we are going to be continuing these ongoing runs.
lovely.
So
I'm
some of these
into it.
questions may get answered.
They may be answered, and you never know. My opinions might change. That's the thing. They might change. This is not to say that I didn't enjoy the Star Wars mainline. I very much did. I did enjoy it. I thought it was great. The Han Solo wife reveal was a highlight of this episode, well and truly. It's fucking insane. And I got to find out that Luke Skywalker is called Wormy by his friends,
Mhm.
which is also an incredible discovery. We love
Yeah,
to see it.
I'm kind of sad, but you didn't love the Boba Fett banter though.
No, I do. I do love the Boba Fett
Boba
banter.
Fett, the master of dialogue.
He did. Um,
Boba Fett's asking the
the
questions. Me up. I'm Boba Fett. I'm asking
I'm Boba
questions.
Fett. I am. I'm asking questions. He just comes off so socially awkward in this one. It's really funny. It's like this is a man who just doesn't know how to interact with people. It's like the reality of like if you did raise you raised like an assassin man and stuff, and you were just like, yeah, go out and do some stuff, but like he just doesn't fucking know how to like speak to people.
Say you raised a kid in the middle of an ocean, surrounded by men who look like himself.
Yeah, and he's never spoken to anyone who doesn't look like himself. I'm sure that's not true, but like uh, and he's just like, oh, your mouth is as well.
Oh,
It's kind
Boba,
of
my
cringe of
love.
you, Luke
Boba, my
Skywalker,
beloved.
my beloved. He, yeah, he's so funny in this one. He really is.
Icon. Icon
Bless his
shit.
little cottons. Icon, truly. This is the sort of thing that gets me to care more about Boba Fett as a
Hmm.
character. It's him being really fucking stupid.
I've said it before, but I'll say it again. My longest time Boba Fett theory was that he doesn't care about a crime life at all. But like his dad was all about it, and he's a copy of his dad genetically, and he has the
Yeah.
armor. He just kind of felt pressure to take this life, and he's awful at it, and somehow got his reputation just, like trading on his dad's name, and he really deep down he just wants to open a bakery somewhere.
Yeah, he's the ultimate nepo baby. He's been kind of like I think I've probably made this joke before. He's been kind of like shoehorned into this role. Nobody's ever asked him what he wants.
Hmm.
He's just trying to make dad happy.
But
And
you know,
that's
if you did
sad. And it
ask him,
brings
he'd say he wants to be a crime boss.
if you did, yeah, he'd say, "Of course, I would like to be a crime boss." And you'd say why, and he would freeze up immediately.
I want two things in life. I want to be a crime boss, and I want bath time.
You know what? That's not
And
too unrelatable.
and you know what? I had a dream once that I ate a blizzard that made me hallucinate. Maybe that would also be cool as well. But That's like maybe asking too much.
I had a dream that I had a lizard the other day. It didn't make me hallucinate. I didn't eat him, but he was just a really. He was a gecko the size of an iguana. He was great.
I don't know what it's something about the phrase "a gecko the size of an iguana" is somehow the most Emily thing we've had on this podcast so far.
I don't know how to quantify that. I really don't. But yeah, he was my special little boy. What can I say?
You can say a lot of things, Emily, quite honestly.
I really can. This podcast has proven that I can say a lot of things.
But there's something I'd like to say.
Yes.
And it's this week's question. Emily.
Yes.
How did Ahsoka get her white lightsabers?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Ooh. Okay, leave that with me.
I like your pet seagull.
Did you hear him out there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that comes up on the recording. It's just one very, very loud boy.
So, if you've enjoyed the show and want to get in contact with us, if you want to answer a question, if you want to give us feedback, you can email us at crashingthestarfighter@gmail.com. If you want to find us on socials, we have a TikTok at crashingthestarfighter, which I haven't updated in a while, and we have a Instagram at crashingthestarfighter, which I try and update regularly. Have you got anything else to say, Emily, before we go?
No, I don't. No, I miss my seagull. My seagull's gone now. That's the only thing that I will say.
I've been Sam.
I've been Emily.
See you later, guys.
Boy. It's just one very, very loud boy.
What's his name?
Clive. Oh, there's two of them.
Not Clive.
What do you mean not Clive? Why not
Don't bring-
Clive?
Don't bring the Final Fantasy 16 discourse here.
Oh no, I wasn't even thinking about the fun. Listen, okay, I know that this dude's called Clive, and then I was just like, this is the most boring game that I've ever watched.
For me, Final Fantasy peaked when you were doing high school love story and also you went space. But it secondly peaked when it was 4 boys in a car.
4 boys in a car. That's all I've seen of this game. If you told me that this was a road trip simulator where you just play 4 like anime boys in a car, I would be like, yeah, that's what the game is. That's what it is. Final Fantasy, whatever number this is, that's what it is. Absolutely.
The opening of this game is your car breaks down and you have to get out of the car and push it to the nearest gas station really slowly while a Florence and Machine cover of Stand By Me plays over the top.
Florence and Machine got on Final Fantasy? Good for her.
This is how the game opens. It's insane. One of the boys has to get to his wedding on time, but also the world's ending.
Why is this The Hangover? I don't understand. Like, I kind of love it though. The thing is like, okay, so this one's 16, isn't it? This new one is 16.
The new one, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. My verdict on it is like, it's just so generic. It's ridiculous. It's like kind of if you got Dragon Age and then you just sapped all of the fun out of it. You know, that's what the world feels like to me. It just doesn't feel fun at all. But like Boys in a Car Simulator, that's fun, you know?
Yep.
That's like I want to I just want to see these like really like smooth, perfect anime, like realistic CG faces do some normal shit, you know? Like go on a road trip or something.
Like Bison Pot Noodles.
Bison Pot Noodles, yeah, there we go. I want to see Norman Reedus go over some mountains. I want to see the final, like a Sephiroth looking like man, like, you know, just go across the country with his boys. I want to see this sort of thing. This is a Star Wars podcast.
Should we do an outro?
I think we should do an outro. We've just become a generic video game podcast now. It's just a video game opinion piece at this point. But yeah.
So yeah, before we go, what are 2 video games you've enjoyed recently? Let's do that. Sure, why not?
Oh god, let's go. Does it have to be new games that I've played?
Nope.
Very
just 2
recently.
that you've enjoyed recently.
Oh dang. I've recently picked up the remake of the original Pokemon Mystery Dungeon
Hmm.
DX, which came out on Switch recently. I got it a while back and I didn't play it. It was one of my favorite, like, real, like, childhood pour a load of hours into it sort of games, and I really loved it. So there's one. I've been having like a really cozy time with it. Yeah,
Yep.
it's really really sweet. Number two, oh, what can I say? I don't want to say Zelda because that feels very generic. I do love Zelda, but I want to kind of like give her more of a deep cut, shall we say? I start picking up Dead by Daylight again. I hate to say it.
Oh my gosh, where's my invite?
You play Dead by Daylight? I didn't know.
It's on Game Pass, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we could
Hit me
play
up
sometime.
sometime.
Oh yeah, I found out. Are you aware of there's a celebrity who is
Nick
lending their face?
Cage.
Yes.
Yes.
If you didn't know, I was going to make you guess who it was. But yeah, no. I saw the trailer for it today, and I'm like, this is fucking bonkers. I love it. The Five Nights at Freddy's crowd are still mad that they don't have a robot in here, and Nick Cage is here now, and we love to see it.
Just committing to this bit entirely. Uh, I love Scream. Why is Ghostface
Yes.
so bad in that game?
I can't, like, oh my god. I
Not being
tend
able
to
to hear the
die to
heartbeat
Ghostface.
breaks the whole thing.
Yeah, I die to Ghostfaces a lot, but the thing is though is that like everything that Ghostface is more balanced than Pig for me because Pig is kind of the same thing, but
Mhm.
just less balanced. If you know
All
what
you
I
need to
mean.
do is
Daylight's playing Pig. I can't say too much bad about
is
it.
like you need the option to clown Ghostface. That's part of the appeal. You need to have like
Mm.
once per game you can just throw him to the floor.
Yeah, once we get the thing is though is that like if you can't go, holy shit, it's Ghostface, and then like do some stupid shit, like what's the point?
Two games I've been enjoying recently. I recently finished Alan Wake Remastered, which gameplay
Ooh,
wise not the best, but has such an intriguing narrative, and I'm super excited for Alan Wake 2. Come on,
yeah.
Control Cinematic Universe, and I'm not that far into it, but I've just started God of War Ragnarok. Big fan of God of War
Ooh,
2018. It was my
boy.
first God of War, and yeah, honestly, some of the takes on Norse mythology in this are super cool to me. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen I haven't played it. I've seen a few of like 'cause somebody was talking about like the representation of Norse mythology in it and like Thor's really fucking cool in this. Like just from a
Hmm.
design standpoint, I'm like I kind of fuck with how they've drawn Thor here. It's really a
Yep.
cool take. I don't know why. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, it seems like a cool game.